Have you ever watched a horror film and said to yourself, this would make an amazing game? Well, I for sure have. And when I saw that Clay from Clear Critique uploaded his horror games that should be movies video, which you should absolutely watch right after this video, I wrote a comment and we ended up working on the video you are watching right now. Neat, right?
Hello everybody, and thank you Max for the invite. I chose 3 movies that had some unrealized potential, 2 of which I consider to be downright bad, and all I think could be great horror games. First is The Purge from 2013. A world where once a year all crime is legal, and thus the richest people with the best security systems are the big winners. Solid concept, mixing survival tactics, mob mentality, socioeconomics, and brutal violence. What we got instead was a boring home invasion flick we've seen 1,000 times, some corny villains, and a mini Skrillex. As a game, The Purge essentially writes itself. It would open with the procedure of setting up the security systems and introducing both the characters and the world. A classic game intro chapter akin to The Last of Us or Half-Life.
Oh, interesting. Just look at that. Ah! Stop!
Then begins the tower defense gameplay, as you run around to repair those same systems, and when those fail, you have to improvise your own. It would be a powerful story moment, as all that money and security suddenly means about as much as a film review by Jennifer Lawrence.
What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
And you must grab your family and venture out into the streets. This way, the story would actually focus on, the Purge aspect, and not the Strangers movie with less jump scares. What unfolds could offer the survival-based drama of Telltale games The Walking Dead, where gameplay often comprises of tough decisions around supplies and relationships, but mixed with the street combat and mayhem of Condemned Criminal Origins and DayZ. And it's doing all of this while carrying a good story arc, as the player character must appeal to and stand up against the same people he turned a blind eye to in his mansion. Intense and thought-provoking, the Purge game would be the ultimate redeemer to a broken franchise.
My first pick is Jordan Peele's 2022 Snope, a great sci-fi horror movie about 2 siblings that, after the mysterious death of their father, embark on a quest to capture undeniable evidence of an otherworldly alien presence. This could be such an awesome horror mystery and management game. Imagine during the day you prepping the house and adjacent ranch with cameras and microphones, traps, and all sorts of surveillance equipment, very similarly to Phasmophobia, for example. And then when night comes, you gotta try capturing actual evidence of alien presence. Think of the gameplay as a mixture of observation duties, anomaly spotting, while also staying alert to any sort of presence or alien trying to sabotage equipment or even hurt you, like in Welcome to the Game, where literally any moment some dark web killer might show up. This could even go as far as playing it multiplayer, and the alien presence could briefly take control of one of the player's characters, bringing in an Among Us social horror element into it. At multiple locations, different kinds of aliens with their unique behavior, the atmosphere and soundtrack of something like Oxenfree, and you got yourself a Steam bestseller.
Next is Happy Death Day. It's Groundhog Day, but as a horror comedy, a fact the movie itself references to embarrassing results. Equally pitiful is the explanation for the creepy baby mask. They're the school mascot, by the way. No, I don't know what planet the writer is from. And the dialogue has so much cringe, it's practically a soaking in it. Yet the movie shines, or at least flickers, when it treats the concept of repeating the same day over and over as a murder mystery, retracing the steps of your own death and trying to figure out the culprit rather than trying to live. To me, this screams roguelike, or at least roguelite, a detective game where you revisit the same locations and characters, but as your deaths increase, so does the scope of the world. Each day cycle, you can explore different dialogue options, venture further away from the main college campus area, and eventually confront your killer. The game 12 Minutes is an obvious comparison, along with how Return from Obra Dinn and Rockstar's Bully gradually expanded their clue finding and environments, respectively. All within the bright-eyed, red-eyed glorified American college setting. Adderall and hangovers could act as rewards or hurdles in gameplay. Imagine having to get information from an icy resident advisor, catty sorority president, or dumbass Bricks frat boy. Horror comedies in film are a dime a dozen, but in gaming, I think there's a void to fill. It could become funnier as the game progresses, since the deaths lose emotional impact, or, for a challenge, the game darkens in its second half, in a paranoid, looking over the shoulder Firewatch sort of way, as new NPCs become involved and endangered. The movie squandered the idea of a limit on the protagonist's retries, and in a game, this could be your own lives or those NPCs. Happy Death Day had the potential for an entirely new kind of detective story, a lovely trifecta of violence, comedy, and problem solving, but it just didn't have the time or talent to pull it off. As a game, I want to play this today.
1983's Christine by John Carpenter, which is based on the Stephen King novel by the same name, is arguably one of Carpenter's more mid-films, but the absolute absurd plot and clever moments make for a fun watch, and more importantly, I think this could make for an amazing game. This for me would probably be somewhere in the extraction and survival horror genre realm, in a somewhat post-apocalyptic or post-war setting to raise the stakes even more and explain why maybe there are not that many people around. The player is placed in a somewhat large and open level, think something like Tarkov's Streets for example, and their objective is to escape within the time limit or even eliminate the threat, which of course is the possessed car Christine chasing you down. This would not only be hilarious but also really scary. Think of games like Choo Choo Charles, Pacific Drive and Beware as inspirations for gameplay, so you can either try to find a vehicle, but of course Christine will try to chase you down, or go by foot and risk being run over, but have the safety of houses and access to more loot and equipment, which you could use to fix up vehicles, tend to wounds, temporarily boost stats like running speed or stamina with consumables, or even build or find weapons, which you could use to buy time or maybe even destroy Christine, taking some scavenging and gameplay loops of games like Days Gone or DayZ and combining them with the high-intensity chase events of an Outlast, Beware or Choo Choo Charles could make for a really thrilling game. This of course would also be a lot of fun in co-op or asymmetrical multiplayer, but the immediate threat of Christine would have to be high enough to make up for multiple players being able to use the numbers advantage and spread out, maybe by blocking out zones like in a battle royale game, or giving Christine extra abilities to apply pressure when someone is hiding in a building. I don't know, maybe being able to deploy RC cars that would kind of chase down and hurt the players indoors. Honestly, just thinking about it, this sounds so fun and I would definitely buy this game.
And lastly is a movie that was actually pretty good, but which didn't fully explore a fantastic concept, and that's 2020's Posessor. In it, a woman is able to hack into people's bodies and use them to carry out assassinations. The film has some great performances and gruesome butchery, but I wanted a whole film from its first half. And then I realized what I really wanted was to play it. One option is to adapt the car hopping mechanic from Driver San Francisco to people. So during the mission, you have to jump to and from various individuals to get better vantage points, as well as form an escape route. GTA 5's campaign sports a similar sequence, although with a much heftier body count. By combining this with the stealth and precision of Hitman, Possessor the game not only sounds entertaining, but offers plenty of reliability and replay value. Another option is to stay closer to the film, and only possess one person per mission. This involves more in-depth pre-mission strategy, as the player must research the individuals, their relationships and routines, and do their best to copy them during dialogue trees, as well as mini-games to prove they're good at an activity the original person is known for. Which option you prefer depends on whether you like missions that offer a bit of freedom and chaos, or a more tactical, story-driven approach. In either case, Possessor's body swap concept is ripe for an assassin game, and the stylish, almost cyberpunk world lends itself well to aesthetics and map design. In fact, each house, venue, or other mission location would act as its own world building, as we see how Possessor's blend of futuristic tech and unscrupulous surveillance has changed people's lives. Could be cool. So, those are my films I'd like to see as games. Now, I'll toss back to Max, and by the way, check out his music. It's pretty dope.
2019's The Lighthouse by Robert Eggers is one of my favorite films, and I think with some adjustments could make for a really atmospheric and immersive game. The actual interactions and story is of course pretty ambiguous and almost dream nightmare-ish like, but with more of a focus on the general atmosphere and the Lovecraftian influence could make a great setup for a game. This would definitely be more of a vibe and story-driven game where you are a new lighthouse keeper and have to manage daily tasks around the lighthouse. Think of something like Firewatch or even the mortuary assistant, where you have to complete quote-unquote normal job tasks but are regularly confronted with spooky elements. Something like Call of Cthulhu, Song of Horror, and Amnesia: The Dark Descent for gameplay and environment ideas, and maybe something like The Vanishing of Ethan Carter or even Life is Strange for storytelling and exploration influences. Throughout the game, the Lovecraftian paranormal aspect would be more and more apparent and shape the storyline and presentation of the game, essentially giving you a mix of a simulator, horror, and exploration game. Also, the lighthouse setting is really underrated, and every time a game features one, it's usually one of my favorite areas. That about does it for our picks. Definitely let us know what movie you think would make an amazing game, and depending on how the video does, we would be more than happy to do another part of this. Also, if any developer sees this video and likes any of the ideas, please feel free to steal them under one condition: you hit me up when it's time to get a composer. But for real, thank you for watching. Definitely check out Clear Critique's channel, he has some really great content there. And also check out this video where I talk about my favorite strategy game of all time.